two rigs that I'm going to be starting out with today. I have a Tiger pack. Nothing crazy, just oats and corn. That's it. Hi, I'm Daniel Irish from USA Carp Guide. Do you want to turn a good fishing trip into a great one? Introducing baiting mixes, the smartest way to plan your feed strategy. Browse ready-to-made mixes crafted by expert anglers, or build your own from scratch. Choose ingredients, set quantities, log your results. With real data from your sessions, you'll know exactly what bait to use and when. Smarter prep, bigger catches, fewer blanks. Download the Go Catch Fish app, available in the App Store and Google Play Store today. There. How is everybody doing out there? Hello, Paul. Hello, Brian Rand. I gotta mute myself. I can hear myself. Michael Schaefer, how you doing? Uh, ONT Carpin. I'm pretty sure that's Ontario Carpin. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. The Rooster, what's happening? Not much, Paul. Not much. We are here to talk about carp today. And before I do that, as you can see, Kenny Mack is not here. He is very, very busy. He had a full jam-packed day, and then right into it, with the family, the grandkids, and then even more work. So I'm going to be doing this solo, but luckily we're never truly solo. We have our awesome producer, Austin Jones, behind the scenes. So big thank you to Austin Jones.
What's up,
I want
everybody?
to I want to give a thank you to Ben's Tackle Shack first. As you can see, Dave gave me this very, very comfortable hoodie that I've been having to fight Molly for every single day of my life. So now there's a whole WWE SmackDown every day for a hoodie. So thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, and thank you for allowing us out there in Massachusetts. Another thank you to West Coast Bait Boats. Thank you for creating that bait boat first of all, and bringing us Americans something that we can really use. A lot more preferred than some of those other smaller boats. Go check out West Coast Bait Boats. Use them, on the guide service every single day. Bait boat hardly runs out of battery, so go check Nick out. But today I want to talk about pretty much just carp in general, and why carp fishing in America is understood, why the fish in general is understood, and hopefully we can bridge the gap and get more anglers fishing for carp in general. I think that one of the reasons that carp are misunderstood in America is that if there is a polluted lake or there is a polluted body of water, something like that, that carp is one of the more hardy fish, and they are one of the last species to actually die inside of that body of water. So if somebody sees a nasty old puddle, so to speak, on the side of the road, it's gonna be filled with carp, and that's what they're gonna see. So there's a little bit of a stigma with that. However, most of the big trophy lakes for smallmouth, for walleye, for other preferred species have a lot of big trophy carp in them. And we think, that that's what helps keep the water so clean, are those big carp that eat most of that bad vegetation, that pick up on, some of those smaller crustaceans, things like that. One of the things that we would really, really like to push for is species recognition. Now, everybody knows about the Asian carp, the silver carp, and the big head carp. Now, there's a little bit of a misconception that the common carp also falls under that. However, the common carp is classified as a European carp, not the Asian carp. So I would really like to see, a lot more educational material put out showing pictures of both species, the common carp, the mirror carp, and then distinguish it away from the black carp, the silver carp, the Asian big head carp. And really, I think the only way that that's going to happen is us. I think it's going to take us posting our Facebook reels, posting regular Facebook posts, posting to Instagram, posting to TikTok, making little YouTube videos that are even only 2.5 minutes long, just showing the difference between these species, and really just showing people and hammering it down their throat that our European common carp are not the invasive carp, and in fact, they're actually naturalized in most of the waters that they're in. if anybody out there has any questions or would like to know how to get involved, with helping distinguish and raising awareness about carp, please put it in the comments. I will be really relying on comments this episode, so please, please. And I have a couple bullet points, so if you see me read my phone, please forgive me. This stigma, it hurts our fisheries. It hurts the waters that actually do have trophy carp in them, due to things like bow fishing and even anglers accidentally catching them and then just leaving them on the bank, misidentifying them as another species. So I think that the education that we put out, nicely informing people, if you do see somebody that has messed up, uh, please, please do not go over there all aggravated and spread hate. Even though I know what it does to your heart, I know what it does to your soul. Seeing one of our girls on the bank, but the only way that we can change their mind is through compassion and through understanding and education. They have been taught their entire life that, this is a quote unquote trash fish, that this fish is ruining the lake. Whereas, it, as we say, it takes a lot of the bad stuff away and leaves a lot of the good weeds, a lot of the good hiding places for those other fish that Americans actually do prefer to fish for. Yes, as Paul Metz said, Carp Anglers Group, everyone can go to their fishing manual book, get addresses to fisheries and hatcheries, and do some legwork and go from there. 90% chance they're not seeing what we are about. Yeah, and that's another thing. Um, Luckily, over the past years, Austin and I have had some encounters with DNR officers, and they are starting to understand us. They're starting to understand that we fish for these fish for a long period of time. We have a tent not because we're homeless, but because we're sleeping while we catch some of these fish, and it is an active hunt. Luckily, as I said, some of the younger officers do realize what we're doing. They do cut us some slack. We're not really supposed to have tents in parks and things like that. Luckily, they have a distinguishment between a bivy, which is, our fishing tent, and a pop up tent that a lot of people just sleep in. So it's cool to see the DNR coming out and actually getting involved and asking us, hey, you guys caught any carp today? Though there's a guy out here carping the last week. He caught a real nice one. He took care of it. He slipped it back in. And I think promoting carp care, that's the key. Even hearing the dean officers say, he took really good care of his fish. That's the key. We got to show people that these are fish that we do take care of. And Austin has pulled up American Carp Society's article about carp care, and I think this is very, very good thing to look at because it does talk about how we have trophy fish in America, and they're wild trophy fish. They have been born and raised in these waters, so it's their home. They're not like a syndicate or a stocked fish like somewhere over the pond. So we really, really have to do a great job of taking care of them. And as you can see, a 40-pound fish can be in excess of 30 years old. Uh, so especially some of these younger guys, I mean, me until last year, some of these fish that you catch could very well be older than you. So we have to make sure that we show the fish the proper respect. That's why we're out on the bank in the first place. So we do use things, like the landing mats, the landing nets. Sorry, excuse me. And as it says, the small mesh that is used today will not lift the scales or do any tearing of the fins. One tip that I do want to say that I will be putting in a video is that if you are going to detach your net and roll your fish up, please make sure that your fish is linear and parallel with the arms of your net. When I first started out, I made that mistake a couple times, and honestly, I got the dorsal fin of the carp tangled up in the net, and that's a bad mess. Not only is it really, really, really bad for the fish, but you also feel bad the entire time that you're trying to get it out. And that was a tip that I just learned of talking to people on the internet. Rafal from Carp Angler was actually the one that said, make sure that the fish is parallel and get everything right and roll it up properly. And after he told me that and I put it into practice, we really haven't had that many more issues. You're going to have something here and there just because of the way carp fishing is and the way that the fish thrashes about sometimes. But the reason that we use those nets is to minimize that. And as it does say in the article, if you do not have a purpose built carp net, then a rubber net is the best option. And me personally, I actually really, really enjoy the mesh rubber, if that makes sense. It's like the rubberized mesh where it still has the small hexagons, but it's actually made of rubber. I find that that doesn't get tangled up in any fins, and even if there is an accidental operator error, because we all are human, that the fish doesn't get caught and it's easily released. And if we scroll down to the unhooking mat, let me see if we have any questions. Let's check the chat first. Um, Connecticut Carplets Fishing. What's up, fellas? How you doing? How you doing? Team Fish Fighters in the house. Hello, hello. Paul says, myself, I hear post pictures of Army Corps of Engineers page because they are most of our waters. Yeah, man, that's important. That's really important. The Canadian Carp Society has a good webpage called the Beginner Series that outlines how to catch carp. Simple tackle outlines the carp and the minimum equipment required to do it safely. Yeah, I would love if you have me on Facebook, which I'm pretty sure you do. I would love if you could link me that, and I would love to go over it, and I'd love to post it and preach about it. I think that's exactly what we need. RJ, thank you very much. There's a tip on my new video. The hook went clean through the swivel, went through the comeback around the gill, and I was like, let's just cut the line. Yeah, I do want to stop and talk about that for a second because I did it. I really appreciated what you did there. It was a shock at the moment, as it always is. It's like, wow, how did this even happen? I tie my rigs the right way. I try to catch all these fish safely, and then you have something like that where the hook goes all the way through the fish's mouth, and then the line is through the fish's mouth, and sometimes I've even seen it hooked on the other side. So I really applaud you, Paul, for that wherewithal and the immediate split second decision making to just cut the line, remove any part of this that can hurt the fish at all, and I'll just tire on my entire rig later. Because that is exactly what this sport's all about, right? It's about catching the fish, it's about showing off a beautiful fish, and it's about releasing that fish back into the water safely. Brian Rand says he just bought a new Finkel. I think that's how you pronounce that. The Finkel net rubberized netting. Can't wait to use this year. My first rubberized net. I'll tell you what, you're gonna love the rubberized nets. They've completely changed my entire view. Now, while I'm at home, I do still have my very first carp net, and I'll be using that until there's a big old hole in it, just because I'm very nostalgic and sentimental about that. But speaking of the Finkel nets, we did get one of the collapsing arm things where you push a button and the arm collapses for the boat, and that is, I'll tell you what, that's a piece of technology right there. When you're half asleep at 3:30 in the morning and you got Kenny Mac with a screamer on the other end, and you just scoop it up and you click a button and it's all good. It's all safe. Now we can breathe. Now we can calm down. Okay, we caught a fish. Whoa, we caught a fish. And that just the ability to press that button and you know that your fish is safe. It's not going anywhere. Very, very cool. Sorry, Austin, for that tangent. If we could go back to unhooking mats, I would appreciate that. All right. And now that we have netted our fish, we need somewhere to put our fish. As I was talking about, you pop the arms off of your net and then you make sure your fish is linear, parallel with the arms of the net. You roll them up and then you walk them a short distance over to your unhooking mat. You set him down. This is to protect the fish from things like sticks, gravel, dirt, things that are going to take that protective coating away from that fish and even damage the scales. So we use things like this, a nice hooking mat. We have some floating cradles, things like that. Even the cradles with legs are a great option. Now, if you are just getting into carp fishing, if you're looking at this and you're like, man, I just want to get my hands on a fish, I really, really don't want to spend, 25, $30 on an unhooking mat. And that's okay. There are plenty of other cheap options. This is just kind of, what the carp culture loves to use. If you're just getting into it and you just want to get your hands on a carp, a yoga mat from a store like Five Below or something like that, and a trash bag over that, and make sure that you wet the trash bag before you set the fish on it, can work for your smaller fish. Now, if you are getting, more serious and you're catching bigger fish, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, some of those big 20s that you might catch, you really, really need to get a proper unhooking mat because they do have the density to protect those fish. All right, let's go down to weigh slings because this is what everybody cares about, right? Apparently, everybody talks about their weight. How much is this? How much is that? What's your PB? We need to properly protect our fish. We need to make sure that the fins are correct. We need to make sure that she can breathe in there. As best make sure the fish isn't frightened. We don't want to add any extra stress. And these waist slings do a great job of that. A lot of them, the bottom is mesh so that you can leave the fish in the water. And as you pick the fish up, the water comes out of the bottom, allowing, easy transport of the fish. You're not getting water everywhere. It's quick, it's easy. Like I said, the amount of time that that fish spends out of water, the less amount of time that that fish spends out of water, the better for us. So, easy things like waist slings. NGT has a great waist sling that I'm actually looking at over in the corner right there. And I think it's like 27 to $30. Great entry level waist sling. They use them for tournaments and things like that. Now, if you want to get, more specific and you want to have something like a retention sling. Okay, that's the next slide. Okay, if we could scroll down a little bit. If you want to get something to keep your fish overnight for pictures, or you're in a tournament and you would like to weigh the fish, the weigh marshals haven't come around, and then you do need something like a carp sack or a retention sling, is what I prefer. The first time I saw a carp sack used was actually in Baldwinsville, New York, during the tournament, and it kept the fish perfectly fine. The only thing that I don't like is I don't even say that it does, but in my mind, the netting kind of pulls down on the fish and doesn't allow the fish to swim really where it wants to go. As I'm saying that out loud, I guess neither does a floating retention sling. So
Well, I
we
think
really just
they both have
yeah,
a
go ahead.
purpose. You know, if you're fishing a really sandy or a really muddy bottom pond with not a lot of debris, no waves, no current, keep sacks are absolutely fine. If you're going to Dale Hollow, your fish is going to be beaten and battered on those rocks in a keep sack unless you've
Good
got a
point.
calm cove. So, time and place for each, but both acceptable in certain circumstances.
Great point. Great point. Paul Metz, he does say a few tips about the cradles and gnats. If it's 100 degrees, make sure the mat gets wet before you put the carp on. Same if it's 10 degrees outside. Make sure it gets wet before you put the fish on. Yes, great point. You do not want to put the wet fish onto a hot mat. You want to wet the mat first. Make sure the mat is about the same temperature as the water. Make sure the water gets everything wet before, excuse me. Make sure everything gets wet before the fish touches it. Yes, sir. That is very important.
Yeah, and
And
for the new guys that are watching this, trying to get an idea of why it's so important, why we preach this thing, uh, it's it's similar to your extremist on the trout fishing side. You know, where they wet their hands before to protect the slime coat. We're not so worried about our hands damaging that slime coat, but a really hot piece of plastic in the summer will strip it and open them scales up to infection, which leads to all sorts of diseases and trouble swimming and ultimately death in most cases.
mm-hmm. All about protecting the fish, all about protecting the resource. Hopefully the next angler can catch it and hopefully it weighs a little bit more. So now, we're taking our picture of the fish, we've taken care of it, we've netted it correctly, we've unhooked it on the unhooking mat. We kept it overnight in a sling because we caught it at 3 a.m. I'm sorry, in a retention sling because we caught it at 3 a.m. Now we want to take a picture of it. As the article states, we really advise that you do not support the fish by the gills or the mouth. The gill plate is very sensitive. Unfortunately, we have all seen those pictures online. of people holding those fish by the gill plates. And I commend a lot of you who get out there nicely and tell them, hey, I would really appreciate if you don't hold the fish like this because of this. They're doing permanent damage to the fish and they really don't know any better. That's why education is really, really big. Um, Cartman here. Hey, brother, popped on to support you and tell you I love you. Having a special dinner tonight. Catch you next time. Thank you, brother. I hope you have a very, very special night. I hope you have a special night. I love you, brother. Take care. Um, and you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of effort trying to catch this fish. You want to make sure that you show off this beautiful animal the best way that you can. So you want to keep both your hands wet, especially during the hot weather. If you have a bucket of water that you have been using, you have it. You when you first got to the session, you filled up your bucket of water, and then you haven't changed it all day. Before you splash that on the mat, before you get your hands wet, make sure you change out that water. You really, really want the water to be lake temperature. Believe it or not, stress on a female full of eggs can have effects on her spawn. Yeah, yeah, a fully stressed out female, she could become egg bound or something like that. She could be too stressed out to actually push those eggs out, and she doesn't know where the predators are coming from. So like the article is saying, we want to keep both of our hands wet at all times, especially during the hot weather. To hold the trophy fish, place one hand under its head with the gills and fingers on the other side of the pectoral fin. One thing that I do is I try to, if the fish is pushing that pectoral fin out, is I just try to support it with my hand and not push it up, not push it down, and just let that fin go wherever it needs to go. Because in Dale Hollow, there are a lot of those fish that their pectoral fins uh, will go to the back or will go to the front, and I don't want to force that fish to move that to where it's not comfortable. As it's saying, you want to particularly pay attention to your fingers on the other side of the fish. Make sure that they don't slip into the gills or anything like that. With your backhand, you want to support it around the belly and around the anal fin. Um, I really like to show, the fin on the back. I like to kind of spread that one out a little bit. That's not going to do any damage. Don't push it out, but you can, spread it a little bit and show off the beauty of the fish. Now, after we've taken our pictures of our fish, we'd like to check it out, see if there's any damage to the fish, see if there's any scales missing, if she has any bad dings or bruises, open wounds, and especially in the mouth and on the body. And if she does, then we will gently dry off the part that does have the wound, and then we will spray some of our, I got it right here, some of our intensive carp care spray. And that is just the antifungal, antibacterial spray. And hopefully we could put that fish back better than how we caught it. Believe it or not, that I already read that. And that's just kind of the breakdown of, well, not the breakdown, that's the bare minimum of carp care. We really, really have to do a good job protecting our fish, and we have to put them back healthy, and we would really like them to grow. And one of the reasons we would like them to grow is because we like catching them, right? They are one of the most underrated freshwater fish in America. I would say that they have a better fight, per pound than all of the catfish that I've caught, the bass that I've caught. The only thing that can really put up with it, I'd say, per pound is that shell cracker, and we're lucky he only gets to about 2.5 pounds. The fight that a carp gives you, especially in a river, the quick burst, the screaming drag, it's got looks on people's faces that I've never seen before. I had a gentleman come out with me to a local park, and he hooked into a carp, and it pulled him a full step forward, and he said, "I've never had a fish pull me forward like that." And I think that's one of the reasons that we do chase these fish, not just the hunt, but when we finally do get to hook up, we are in for a battle. Do you get many recaptures at Dale Hollow? I assume some resident fish stick around your baited areas. So honestly, we don't get very many recaptures. I have not been a part of any recaptures. However, I think Kenny Mack, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but DeJuan Thomas, I think, captured the same fish, and they were 16 miles away or 6 miles away. They were a few miles away from each other when the fish was caught. So it was very, very cool to see how far a fish actually travels in that body of water. Another tip for photos, take a short video and you can take screenshots of your video. Yes, that is a very, very good point. That is how I take a lot of my pictures actually is I will set my camera up and I'll take a video and then I'll go back and through that video I'll actually screenshot a lot of pictures. Kenny Mack said it was Dewan's son. Yeah, so that just, there's one recapture of thousands of fish that people have caught. So it really actually just goes to show you how many carp are actually in Dale Hollow. There's millions and millions of those fish in there. Everyone should have a heavy duty cradle, especially in catching multiple fish in a row. It helps keep the big fish safe. Brian Rand, I do agree. A heavy duty cradle is it's pretty much a must.
Now, when we're saying a must, guys, we're not talking about the guy who's trying to get into this. This is for the guy
Mm-hmm.
who's decided this is what I want to fish for. This is what I want to take seriously. This is that video for him. It's not
Yes.
for the guy that's trying to get into it. The guy that was trying to get into it, that first half was for you.
Mm.
The basics. This is I don't know, college class 202, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. The heavy duty cradle, it is a must. It's very hard to keep track of multiple fish and keep multiple fish safe while trying to do photos. And we can have crazy sessions, right? We can have one scream off, two scream off, three scream off, and then now we have three fish. And if you're somebody like me who, when I'm home, I only take one sling with me and one unhooking mat with me, now I don't get a good picture because I got to take care of these fish. Royal Angler says, "Hey, hey, sorry I'm late. No worries, brother. No worries. We're just talking carp care and education about carp and how to raise awareness." And I would like to touch back on it that I think the way to do that is through education, and the only way to educate people is for us to make videos and do shows like this. So we need to post videos about our carp care. We need to post our slings and showing people, hey, it zips up, it opens up like this one floats, this one doesn't float, this one's for keeping a fish overnight, this one's just for weighing a fish. There's a lot of different moving parts that are honestly intimidating to an intro carper that we as current carpers could do a lot better of explaining. And that just comes down to a topic of education versus gatekeeping.
Now,
Now,
DJ, I've got something that we can challenge them with, if you're okay with it, and ultimately if Mac's okay with it, which I think he is. I think this is a crazy idea.
yeah,
Our
let's hear
our
it.
social medias are open to everybody. Everybody knows us. Pretty much everybody here is with us. If you guys want to be a part of this movement to get carp care mainstream, you can send us videos of you guys using your carp care stuff or you guys explaining what carp stuff is, like landing mats and landing nets and how to use them.
Hmm.
And we can build a video with the people who are doing it and spread the message with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So if you just want to record a little video and say, "Hey, here's my mat, here's my sling, here's my net, here's what I do," or if you just want to do one of those things, or if you have a completely different idea about carp care, then go ahead and you're able to send us videos. You could send them to me on Facebook. You could send them to USA Carp Guide on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, things like that. And as well, I would like to add if you are somebody like Daniel Duke who has his own channel, then make your own video, please. I really urge you to make your own video if you have your own channel, and then tag us in it, and we will repost it on that platform where we can because we really want to push this community. We need to get multiple pages showing carp care,
Yeah,
and then,
and these
like
could be
Austin said,
pictures of you guys using the stuff too, like using the European fine mesh nets, using the
mm-hmm.
landing nets with pictures, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like an explanation.
Yeah. Yeah, it could just be pictures, things like that, but we really want the, focus to be the carp care. It doesn't have to be the biggest fish, so, if you, got a 3-pound fish, a 1-pound fish, go ahead and show it as long as you're taking proper care of the fish. And as I was saying, gatekeeping is a big thing. One thing that I have, heard from on the internet, and I don't want this to be a bad thing, I don't wanna say gatekeeping in a negative light at all, is that some people would rather keep the carp scene smaller. And, at first I was like, man, why would you want to do that? But then I thought about it. There are a lot of people out there that do not practice safe carp care, that do go to a swim and leave trash at their swims and things like that. So I think us as the current carp community, we really, really, really have to push for, only footprints and memories is what we leave, pack in, pack out. We got to take care of the fish. We got to take care of the swim. Do you have easy access to carp care products? Is shipping crazy from online stores? Yeah, it's not too bad. Luckily, Carp Angler and Big Carp Tackle, they make it pretty accessible to get to carp care things like mats and especially the carp care spray. Even some of the local bait shops like Adams Outdoors, Indy Naptown Bait and Tackle, especially the Bobber Shop, they have things that pertain to carp care. Is The Bobber Shop I know had cradles for the longest while, and then they all have mats and slings and things like that. So luckily, where I am, I'm able to get a couple things locally, and then also there have been a couple stores that make things easily available to get. All is welcome. We do not criticize. Yeah, that's the thing, is that we need to take it upon ourselves, the mantle of responsibility, if you will, to educate these new anglers, right? Instead of putting them down, because we all talk, we all talk about how we want to grow the sport. We all talk about how we want more people to catch these fish, and then the second somebody asks questions, we don't want to tell them anything. And I think that really needs to change on us. I think we need to be open books. That is going to be more people fishing for carp. That does mean that sometimes you're going to show up, and there are going to be people fishing in quote unquote your swim. But that just means that you get to go find a new swim, right? I mean, we're the pioneers for this, so to speak. So we need to be the ones that are going that extra mile. If somebody that we got into carp fishing is fishing our swim regularly, then we should be happy about that. That now they found a good swim that they are comfortable with fishing, and now we go and be the trailblazer. Now let's go find our next spot, and then maybe we meet somebody else, and then we move on. I think that's the only the way that we're gonna grow this is dropping, the ego, so to say, about, that's my spot, or I caught such and such out of here, so they can't fish there. We all need to do better about working together, and getting more carp into more people's hands so that we can grow this. And hopefully one day we can get enough people fishing for them that we can make a real push to get them considered a sport fish in North America, because that's what we all want, correct? Is we want the bow guys to realize that there is somebody fishing for them, that we do really care about these fish, and we want DNR, or your wildlife agencies, to also realize that we care about these fish, and for them to help us, for them to step in and kind of help us, and we point them in the right direction. Daniel Duke says I could do a more in depth one. Yeah, I would love if you do a more in-depth video. I do know that you have a couple carp care videos. Excuse me, if you can, break down your kit and do a video on your mat, a video on your net, a video on your sling, things like that, and then we could just push all those out together, and then I'll do one on my mat, on my net, on my sling, and Paul Metz will do one on his net, on his mat, on his sling, and we'll just flood the internet, and everybody will be talking about what are these mats, what are these nets, what are these slings, why do they have them? Oh, they're fishing for carp. Well, that looks fun. I'll fish for a carp. Let me ask him a question. How do you catch these carp? And it starts from there. It's just getting carp culture in their face. Yeah, heck, at that point, work together as we help one to help catch. Be like, oh, I'm here today. You're coming in 2 days. I'll throw bait before you go. Yeah, we actually have a little bit of that culture here in Indianapolis at the park that I'm talking about. We work the little stretch of river with 4 to 5 other carp anglers, and if somebody is in the spot that we want to fish, we're more than happy to move over and we'll split the swim with them. We've had three anglers in a swim, using two rods each so we don't have too many lines in the water. And we're all catching fish and we're all getting along. Now, I think that's a lot better of a day than bump into the swim to his left and bump into the swim to his right. Now we're all fighting for fish, and even if we do catch, nobody's happy because I caught three and he caught two and he caught five. And man, if he didn't catch two and catch five, then I would have caught 11. And it's just not about that. It should be about the camaraderie and the brotherhood that carp fishing brings us. And that kind of brings me to my next point, about the access to the water and the camaraderie is that we have tons and tons of water. If you talk to a European, then they're saying you got to have two different rod licenses to fish in a bathtub, and that to me sounds like no fun. We have all kinds of wild rivers. We have rivers and streams in the mountains that have carp. We have ponds and lakes and neighborhoods that have carp. We have inner city ponds that have carp. We have Dale Hollow, which is in Tennessee, that have carp. We have carp all over California. We have carp in the Midwest. We have carp all over this country, and we get to be one of the first generations, not the first, one of the first generations to actually go out there and explore some of these waters. There are so many waters that somebody hasn't even caught a carp in that there's a 60-pounder swimming around in right now. Um, Paul Metz said he doesn't do video. Yeah, right. But there's so many waters that even if quote unquote one spot gets burned or this entire lake quote unquote gets burned because a lot of carpers are fishing it, then that just gives you the opportunity to go find a new water, a new place to put on the map, a new river to catch a 30 or a 40 pounder from. And I think that's what it should be about. It should be about getting people into the sport while also continuing your journey. We never stop. We always need more people. We always need more spots. We always need to learn. And I think the hunt of the new spots and the hunt of catching a fish in a new swim in a new area is what keeps this fresh and introducing new anglers to it and um, thinking that we own public spots when we don't, I think is very harmful and detrimental, in fact, to our sport. That's what the carp world needs. More people exploring waters and fishing 3 or 4 days with good people exploring the unknown. The unknown, yeah, carp dreaming. I agree. I think if we could get more people to just solely carp fish in some of these waters that have been known for other fish, we would be really really surprised at what we could pull out. And not just in the United States, but in all of North America. In Canada and even in Mexico. I'm not really sure about Mexico. That'd be pretty cool to catch a Mexican carp though. I bet they
The,
have a big
the,
growing season.
there is a video out there of wild water 50s being caught in Mexico. I have seen it.
Yeah, and see that just goes to show that there are huge, huge carp uh, all around the country, all around this entire continent. The only thing that it's going to take is just us getting out there and doing it. And I will say that if some of our more favorite spots were filled with other carpers, maybe we'll go find some ourselves. Lakes are massive here. We can fish one side of a lake for a year before exploring the rest of the 20,000 acres. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is that Dale Hollow, I'll use as an example. I could spend my entire life really fishing Dale Hollow how I would like to, and I would cover maybe a fifth of it, maybe a fifth of it. I wouldn't be able to cover even a third of that entire water how I wanted to in one lifetime. So imagine how many different lakes are out there that we really need, 100, 150, 200 years of angling experience before we have it figured out. I think we could, be the third chapter on that, the fourth chapter on that. People before us have built the foundation. Now we need to, open the door, walk outside, and really get after these fish. Daniel, watch out for the rattlesnake. Yeah, I'll be. Don't worry, I'll be using the rattlesnake. My best session was between scorpions, rattlesnakes, and coyotes. Caught my PB. Yeah, and that's the essence of carping is something that we at USA Carp Guide are starting to talk more about. We want to show people not only the fish that we catch, but we want to show them the nature. We want to show them the water, the ducks, the reasons that we get out there, the way that the air smells after a hard rain in the spring. Feelings like that are why we carp. It's not entirely about the fish. So if we could share that with more people, I think we can get them outside and to really disconnect from the internet and the fast paced life that we live now.
Ultimately, that's the beauty of having a guide service on a water of that size, is because we take
Hmm.
things off your plate so you don't have to worry about them and you actually get to enjoy the beauty and the nature and what it's supposed to be about.
Hmm. Yeah, I fully agree. And that brings me, as we're talking about education, we're talking about, showing people how to get out there. We're showing people how to take care of the fish. We're showing people, look, even if you are carp fishing, we can make a fire and we could cook hot dogs or we could cook hamburgers and all kinds of other stuff. And I think that our current generation, everybody that is currently involved with carp fishing, I think we need to do a better job. I'll hold myself first accountable. I personally need to do a better job about the social media presence. I need to do better at showing people, oh, I set up my bivy. Here's what that looks like. I set up my rod pod. Here's what that looks like. Now I'm hungry. I set up my campfire. Here's what that looks like. We're not going hungry. We're not going cold. I need to show people how fun carp fishing can actually be. We need to, really, really push all of our gadgets. Really need to push, all of our different bivvies. I would like to see how everybody else sets up their camp. We need to show people that they could get out there, that they could do this too. And that's not going to just come from the USA Carp Guide channel. That needs to come from the USA Carp Guide channel with the help of, people like Paul Metz, people like Daniel Duke, people, organizations like ACS, as we were talking about earlier with their Carp Care article. It's going to come from organizations like CAG as well, with all their events that they do. We just need to get more people recognizing that we are fishing for carp. So, if you are doing events like that, then, we need to do a better job of making films. We need to do a better job of making shorts. We need to do a better job of posting those to multiple accounts so that we're not just showing the same following, the same thing over and over again. One thing that I liked about what Paul Metz said earlier is that he posted captures into the Army Corps of Engineers group to Facebook. And I think that is something that we need to do, even if it means, blurring out your background because you are scared of people poaching your fish off of the break. If you're scared of people going in and bow fishing, then I understand that. But we need to post some of our captures to things like, our hometown Facebook pages, our Indianapolis city pages, for instance. Just your plain lake pages, like Lake Monroe, for instance, Lake Lemon, Lake Michigan. If you catch a fish out of there, even if you want to be secretive and blur your background, just post a picture of your capture from that lake. And that might get, one or two people that would like to come out with you and actually really learn how to do it. And then, you've grown the sport there. And that's really our goal, right? Is we all want to grow the sport. And through growing the sport, we get to the future of carp angling in North America, where I think we see you know, sole tackle shops set to having carp gear, later on down the road. This is obviously not within the next 1 to 2 years or even maybe 3 to 5 years, but I'm saying once we, get a good foothold and a good standing in, with the natural wildlife agencies and they do help support us about carp fishing, what does that look like for us? We have tackle shops, we have multiple bait companies, we have legendary waters now other than Dale Hollow that have been discovered because people just showed up and the first two fish that they caught were a 55 and a 60 pounder because nobody has ever carp fished it. um, I think that is the future of America. I think that we need to show people, now we get to be cowboys. Now we get to go have fun. We've got our foot in the door. We have some people looking at us. We need to grab the reins. We need to show people how to properly take care of our fish. We need to show people, um, how we fish for these fish, so that they aren't using things like treble hooks, so that they aren't snagging them. We need to show people that we care for our fish, that we do try to slip them back into the water better than we caught them, and they'll take us serious, I think, if we can do that. Carp Dreamies is also 4 days with no Wi-Fi. The day I caught my PB. Yeah, yeah, that's real cool. I think it is going to take all of us. However, like I say, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than Austin Jones. It's bigger than Kenny Mack. It's bigger than the USA Carp Guide Company. This is going to take the entire North American carp fishing scene to come together and rally as one and say, "Hey, here's our standards. We take care of our fish like this. We catch our fish like this, and we release them like so, so that the next angler can properly catch them."
And what a shameless segue. If you guys want to come show your support, learn how to hold a fish, learn what these things are, see what they are, get hands on with them. The Indianapolis Carp Expo, Saturday, February 21st, 2026. Come and see us, guys. We're going to be there.
Yes.
There's going to be free food. There's going to be tons of vendors, tons of stories being passed around. A lot of years passed, lots of memories had there, but not
Yep.
enough of the wild water guys are social enough. We're all loners. Get out of the house.
Yeah,
Come say what's up.
that that's one of our problems, isn't it? That we all we took up carp fishing, to get away from everything, and then now it's getting big, and we're meeting friends, and it's hard for us to get out of the house, especially during these winter months. But Kenny Mac makes some really, really good chili, and we love to talk anything carp fishing. Thank you, Daniel Duke, the Royal Angler, for making that poster. He did a really, really good job on it. I would like to, as we are winding down, I would like to know if you guys have any questions. Please type them out as I talk about catch. You guys can see up there behind me, we do have an advert for catch, and within the next couple days, I will be posting the QR code if you haven't already downloaded it. We did a soft launch at the New England Fishing Expo, and people were very, very intrigued. I got my hands on the full version of the app, and I've been going through and adding my baiting mixes, going through some pictures that I have of old swims, and putting in my little markers and creating my blueprint. So I think I'm going to get hands on with it, possibly Friday, maybe Sunday, if I can get out for a session because we've had some beautiful, beautiful weather, and I'll be pretty much just crash course using the American version of the Catch app. So if you guys haven't downloaded it, please download it and check it out in the Google Play or App Store. Next, I would like to talk about bottom feeder baits. I really, really appreciate James Sanders and everybody at the bottom feeder baits team, Jimmy Sneed, um, for helping this weekend. We sold a bunch of bait at the New England Fishing Expo. Not a bunch of bait, but we sold out kind of what we brought. It was a whole lot of fun. It felt like I sold a bunch of bait, and then you turn around and it's like you sold 3 bags. So it's fun talking about it. But thank you guys and Kenny Mac for coming to the garage. Thank you for helping us fill up bags of bait. We're getting everybody's orders ready for the spring, and we are getting the bags of bait ready for the chili meat on the 21st. So I appreciate everybody from that team. I appreciate them for, throwing me my bait, doing everything that they do for me. I love the pack bait mixes. I've been using it since I spent my last $10 from tips as a delivery driver on it, just trying to catch a fish. So for that to come full circle is very, very cool for me. I want to say thank you to Carp Slayer for having a giveaway over the weekend for the Super Bowl. They have been supporters of the show, supporters of the community, always doing giveaways, always helping out wherever they can. And then I won their grand prize. Thankfully, the Patriots didn't show up to play. I don't know what Drake May was thinking, but he wanted to throw a tutty for some reason in the fourth quarter, which let me win a giveaway. So thank you, Drake May, for not winning the Super Bowl and for allowing me to get a huge thing from Carp Slayer, who I want to say thank you to. Another company that I would like to say thank you to is RJ and Connecticut Custom Tackle. Uh, I finally took him a red jumbo cord, and it has been a miscommunication this whole time. I guess he makes the red jumbo corn. I didn't tell him that it was a jumbo corn, and that is on me. I should have. So he does have red jumbo corns. If you guys go and buy him out of red jumbo corn before I can get to them, I'll hunt you down and I'll get you. But I do like his leads, his coated leads. Apparently, you can throw these off rocks, and I'm supposed to be throwing one down the street later today because he told me to, and the coating won't come off, stuff like that. So check out your inline and your lead clip leads. There will be a rig demonstration tank at the expo. Yes, the rattlesnake will be there. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna put a double rattlesnake right by it just so that you get envy.
I'm gonna put a choker. Double 30s.
Drop back, guys. I finally have got some stuff from Drop Back. Kenny Mac, we went around the embargo. He's tried to hold my goods over there at his house for I think like 3.5 months now, but I finally got my hands on some of the mulberry pop-ups and the grub tone pop-ups. They're very smelly. I cannot wait to use them. I might use them first thing this weekend if I don't run a tiger nut and a corn. But yeah, thank you very much. Drop back Gary Bartlett.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know
big
we were
shout out to you.
fishing this weekend. Where are we going?
Yeah, I'm thinking about hitting up the park if it's thawed out. I'm gonna go
Ooh.
look at it. Maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll
Maybe
take
a
a look.
little review if we get some fish of the new dropback stuff
Right.
coming this way.
uh, Paul Met said I'll be taking all of the wild oats home with me that is left. Yeah, you can have the wild oats. I tell you what, I love the addiction blend, and I've been mixing the addiction blend with the straw nana panko, and that has been my go-to. Throw a little bit of grits in there as well. Man, I've been loving a grits panko ball. One thing that I would like to talk about, shout out Ben's Tackle Shack. Before I talk about this, not that Ben's comes before them or whatever. I just saw I was wearing the Ben's hoodie and don't want to forget about Ben's Tackle Shack. Everything that they do for the carp community. I want to talk about Carp Anglers Group and CAG. So I, Daniel Irish, have joined CAG, and I am hoping that I will finish my application letter to hopefully be a Indiana co-chair and possibly a Tennessee state chair for CAG. And my plan with that is to run more events over here in the Midwest. Maybe a tournament, but tournaments aren't really going to be my focus. I really want to get the younger generation out fishing. I want to show the younger generation what it's like hearing an alarm go off. I want them to learn how to pack a pack ball. I want them to get their hands on the bait, get the hands on a fish. Even get close to the water, get a little wet in there, just have fun. I want them to get outside and realize that there's more to this world than an iPad tablet. There's more to this world than the confines of being indoors. I would really really like the younger generation to get out and take up this sport of carp fishing, and if it can put a couple of children who don't have a current path on the right path, then I think we all win there. So hopefully that's what I'm doing with CAG. I'm telling Austin Jones about this now live on air, but he is hopefully going to be my right hand man with helping me set up and run that. Because I know I can't do it without his help. And I think he will do an awesome job, explaining to kids and really connecting with them about that. I would love to be a part of that. Let me know if you need help. Yes, I certainly will. The more people we can get, the better, Daniel Duke. I promise. How much does it cost to join CAG? So it was $25 to sign up on the CAG website, and then it was 20 per year after that. I'm pretty sure, and you should get like a little goodie bag and things like that. I didn't get the goodie bag. I said, hey, can you just give that? Just pass it on, give it to somebody else that needs it. I got a baiting needle. I got fake corn. I'd rather have that go to a kid, that actually needs it. Um, So thank you for CAG and everything that hopefully you guys are going to help us do. Shout out to you guys. And as we are shouting them out, I do want to give another shout out to American Carp Society for that carp care article that we did go over. Thank you guys for putting something out there like that. Um, Something like that out there so that we could review that. That is a huge, huge piece of media for the entire community to go over. And hopefully, you guys don't mind us sharing that. And hopefully, you don't mind me sharing that going forward, even as a member of CAG. Thank you guys for hanging out here this episode. It was a little tough, but Austin Jones helped me out through there. He had all kinds of great plans. He kept me on the rails. So, if nobody has any more questions, we are going to start the rollout. And I would like to say thank you to some of these other brands. Thank you, Carp Angler. Thank you, Bait Nerd. Uh, who are you? You are Carp Bait USA. I knew that. I didn't want to get it wrong. Thank
West
you, Carp Bait
Coast bait
USA.
boats.
Yeah, thank you, West Coast Bait Boats. Check out the new controllers, guys. I've got my hand on the controller. It looks very, very, very cool. Shout out to Wicked. Shout out to R&W. Shout out to Hog Sauce. Shout out to all the bait companies. We have to come together. Shout out to all the carp anglers and shout out to all the carp groups.
And we
The
don't
only
say it
way that
enough.
we're going to
We've got spots open in the fall, guys. Get on these big fish trips. What are you doing? That is the best time to be at Dale Hollow other than spring. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah, the fall
doing?
is beautiful.
Why are we not booking next year, guys? Come on.
Austin's hoping that we get enough bookings that we get overrun, so we got to tell him to come down and he has to help us guide.
We need it. Come
But
on.
yeah,
You guys want to meet me?
I
You guys have to book.
or you can come to some of our events to hopefully raise awareness about carp and practice safe carp care and teach others about carp care. That is the only way that this thing is going to grow. We all have to work on the same team. It has to be dreams over drama, and that is what we are practicing. If you guys have a nice fish picture and you do want to participate in the dreams over drama movement, then post your fish picture and use the hashtag dreams over drama with a capital on every word. Capital D, capital O, capital D. Dreams over drama. That's what we're all about, boys. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our helpers. Thank you to yourself, the viewer. All right, Austin Jones. I think that's it.
Hi, I'm Daniel Irish from USA Carp Guide. Do you want to turn a good fishing trip into a great one? Introducing baiting mixes, the smartest way to plan your feed strategy. Browse ready-to-made mixes crafted by expert anglers, or build your own from scratch. Choose ingredients, set quantities, log your results. With real data from your sessions, you'll know exactly what bait to use and when. Smarter prep, bigger catches, fewer blanks. Download the Go Catch Fish app, available in the App Store and Google Play Store today.
And the tide's got 4 or 5 seconds on my route.